One of the world's largest train networks is back on track nearly 2 months after India suspended services. That was to help curb the spread of COVID-19. Tens of thousands of tickets for the first 30 trains sold out online within 3 hours. All passengers must download a mobile app that helps track the spread of the virus. They must also wear masks and pass health screenings before boarding. The reopening of the network comes as India sees a surge in new infections. Neha Punia has the latest from New Delhi, and she joins us for more on this right now. So Neha, do tell us then, reopening the country's train network is a major exercise and a risky one as well, particularly with COVID-19 cases still on the rise in India. What's the government's plan to ensure this doesn't make things worse?
Absolutely. In fact, that's been one of the biggest criticisms, Steve, of this exercise, with many state governments disagreeing with what New Delhi is doing, saying that don't allow railway travel, even if it is only limited to 15 trains running 30 trips, saying this will lead to a massive surge in infections at a time when India has not even reached its COVID-19 peak. But despite those misgivings, the Indian government has gone ahead and allowed these trains to operate today. What we're seeing, though, from the government is a lot of precautions that were laid out. We saw long lines outside several train stations across the country as people waited patiently to be screened. You can only be let in if you have a confirmed ticket and if you are asymptomatic, that is, you have no symptoms of COVID-19. Once you're on that train station, people are expected to have masks on. They need to have the contact tracing app that the government is pushing on their phones as well, so that the government can identify whether or not someone's been in touch with a COVID-19 patient. But the real problem, Steve, is going to arise when these people get on these trains. The government is advocating safe distancing but not enforcing it. And these trains are running at full capacity, which means that many state governments have said once these passengers reach their destination, screening them and quarantining them is going to be a big challenge, because it might as well be that these trains might become COVID-19 hotspots.
Neha, we know that Prime Minister Modi has indicated that the lockdown measures will likely continue beyond the 17th of May. We also know he's set to address the nation tonight. Do we know what he's going to be saying, though?
Glenda, it's really tough to second guess what the Prime Minister will or will not say, but what we are gathering from what's happened in the last 24 hours is that he might shed some light on what happens next. We're just a week away from this current lockdown ending. Prime Minister Modi held a marathon 6-hour-long meeting on Monday with state chief ministers, where there was a lot of mixed opinion on what the government should do next. Some states have said that the lockdown should not be lifted because we're still seeing a worrying increase in cases every day. In the last 24 hours, India saw more than 3,000 cases, and that's been a trajectory that's developed over 1 week now. Some other states saying that the lockdown must go. They're saying you can't hold the economy ransom, and you must allow state governments the autonomy to decide which areas need to have containment measures in place, while allowing normalcy to return to other parts of these regions with COVID-19 outbreaks. We're also being told that the Prime Minister might speak about the migrant crisis that's played out in the country. Nearly 10 million migrant laborers have been stranded in different Indian cities since the lockdown was imposed, many of them being forced to walk on foot for kilometers. In the last few days, we've seen several heartbreaking instances of migrant laborers being run over by trains and cars, and that's earned a lot of criticism for the Modi government.
Okay, thanks for that update. Neha Punia speaking to us from New Delhi.